controversies trailing the Saturday's governorship primary of the All Progressives Congress in Edo State as another aspirant has claimed victory in the exercise. Imo State Governor Hope Uzodimma, who is the chairman of the Edo State Primary Election Committee, had on Saturday declared a member of the House of Representatives, Dennis Idahosa, as the winner of the exercise with 40,453 votes. Elsewhere, the returning officer, Stanley Ugwaja, also declared Monday Okpebolo winner with 12,145 votes. Also, the local government returning officers, led by Ojo Babatunde, announced Anamero Dekeri as the winner of the contest, having polled 25,384 votes. Well, for a conversation on this development, we now turn to former Edo State Commissioner for Information and APC Chieftain Kassim Afegbua to comment on a primary that produced multiple candidates. He will speak on ways to ensure the party does not go into the governorship election a divided house. Good afternoon. Welcome to Newsday. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me.
Well, first of all, what are your thoughts, on the recently conducted Guber primaries, APC Guber primary in Edo State? It's incredible that it can come out with about 3 or 4 winners. How did that happen?
No, I think it is more of a creation of the media because essentially media should be well abreast with, provisions of processes and, constitutions of parties with respect to conduct of primaries. And as soon as people see, when they see something unusual, they will just lash onto it and want to play it up. As far as I'm concerned, the candidate of the party for the APC in Edo State remains Honourable Dennis Idahosa, duly returned at the election. Every other thing that you are hearing, whether Monday Okpebolo or the other person, are just comedians. They are just playing a script which will not take them anywhere. But as a family, the APC will have platform to call them to order, and we'll resolve some of these issues and move forward.
The media certainly seems to be the scapegoat a lot of the times in these election matters. But you're right, some of us are not always well-versed on exactly what happens in political processes, which is why you and your colleagues are here to assist us. So in this particular situation, who is to announce the winner of a primary race? Is it supposed to be the state returning officer or the governor, just so we can not make any mistakes going forward?
You see, some persons at the national headquarters of the party were trying to play a smart one, but they were beaten to their game. As far as the Edo primary is concerned, the governor of Imo State was the chairman. The governor of Cross River State, Basiutu, was the secretary. And so they have a committee of about 7 or 8 persons. And the primary also has a secretariat that will be presided over by an appointee of the headquarters and also under the supervision of the chairman of the entire process, that's Hope Uzodimma. And a returning officer by so name called cannot work in isolation. He has to work under the tutelage of the chairman of the committee because he's the one who represents the party at that level. And so when people keep talking about the returning officer, APC as a body is not an electoral body. And so whoever must have appointed the returning officer that has to work alone outside the chairman of the entire process, Hope Uzodimma and the Cross River governor, was only doing that, trying to play smart. But this is politics, all manners of things play out and all of that. But what happened on Saturday would have been avoided if those persons didn't try to be clever by half, but they were beaten to their game. With respect to announcement of result, the organ of the party, the mouthpiece of the party, Felix Moka, stated categorically, issued a statement categorically that unauthorized release of results will not be tolerated. It was a disclaimer, and it was very unambiguous, straight to the point with respect to who should announce the results. The chairman of the party, anything outside that is not acceptable. He stated that categorically. It is a party. The party has taken a decision on who should announce it on. So those other guys, I believe, were adopted, went into the home of one of the chieftains of the party, who is an interested party, to go and announce results. That was a miscarriage of process. You cannot take a collation center to the home of an interested party, one of the governorship aspirants who resigned, who stepped down from his position and opted to support another person, and you take a returning officer, so-called, to your home and to go and be announcing results of an election that is supposed to be for 12 persons. So Hope Uzodimma presided over the secretariat of the primary and acted in line with the directive of the national headquarters, as ably captured by the publicity secretary, that only him has the authority to announce results, and that was it. So all of these other ancillary issues of trying to blackmail the whole process, the acting chairman of the state chapter making noise all over the place and saying that only 2 persons qualify ab initio, they are just laughable. They are the desperation of persons who have something to hide, because in the process of choosing a GUBA candidate, the national office has a responsibility to conduct primaries, not the state chapter. And having been cleared, 12 aspirants having been cleared by the party, a state chairman, acting chairman of the party in the state, cannot even come out to say they were not qualified ab initio and all that. It doesn't exist in the eyes of the law with respect to the primary election. He should go and study his constitution very well. But for people who have something to hide, they will naturally talk out of point and want to make themselves relevant in the entire process.
And talking about the returning officer going to declare results at the home of a member, it's shameful though, isn't it, that some thugs were allowed to disrupt the collation of results in Benin. I'm wondering how come the leadership of your party and even the security officials were caught napping, regarding security at the primaries?
No, I think the returning officer that you are talking about, maybe he was adopted and hijacked to the home of one of the former aspirants who is an interested party. And so if you look at the visuals going around, you know that it is his home. So the issue is Hope Uzodimma and Basio to provide the leadership and save the situation, save the day. Because, but for their intervention, Benin will have, fell into a serious conflagration. And so he acted as the chairman of the primary committee, and who was also given a particular terms of reference. So the terms of reference given by the party, via statement by the publicity secretary, was enough for him to act, in order not to fall into the trap of those who have been abducted to the home of a party chieftain to go and be announcing very nebulous results that are neither here nor there. And to tell you that they didn't, act their script very well, the so-called returning officer was saying validly cast votes, accredited votes, invalid votes. Under direct primaries, there are no provisions for valid votes, invalid votes, or accreditation. What you do in a direct primary situation is for people to come with their membership card, they queue up, they see the membership card, and you line up to vote, and it's counted. Once it is counted, it's recorded. But he was telling us in his press briefing that accredited voters, valid voters, and there's nothing like that. It's like an option A first scenario. That's why they call it direct primary. You deal directly with the members of the party. But for people who are in a hurry to cover up their tracks because of what maybe they've been paid to do the job, we know what's happening. At the appropriate time, the party will set up machinery to investigate this and punish errant members, accordingly, so that some things like this kind of national embarrassment will not come to flourish next time. But they deserve to be punished, having been investigated, and because we are quite familiar with their articles of trade.
And speaking of punishments, there was a rumor back in the early days of the announcement of the candidates that were running for the primaries that there was an attachment to the nomination form, a bit of an addendum undertaking that one would sign in order not to take legal action or go to court if one lost in the primaries. I'm pretty, of course, we had Felix Morka on the show as well. He denied this claim, but I'm sure that you all would have hoped that you initiated this claim, seeing as how everything has played out in the last couple of days. So what now will happen to the candidates who think as well that they have won? Will they be going to court? Will they be sanctioned by the APC? How is this brotherly situation going to get solved amongst you all?
I am not the spokesman of those aspirants who thought they won. Maybe they won in the night, but during the day, in the election that was conducted, Dennis Idahosa won. You know, Nigerian politicians must learn to be magnanimous and matured when it comes to election conduct and the outcome of elections. I was one of the aspirants that entered into this race. I campaigned all around the local governments in the state. When the party took a decision, the leadership of the party took a decision that no, from my side of the state, I don't know that we didn't need to put in for the governorship because we already have a serving minister. I honorably withdrew from the race, just in line with the expectations of the party leadership and the directive. That is how to be magnanimous in the process. You mustn't think that everything has to be about you and all of that. Desperation in politics or in power acquisition process is not part of my game. So in this essence, there are lawyers who are waiting in the wings to get brief. If you look at the report that Peter Obi gave in his audited account or maybe statement of financial expenditure in the last election, 744 million was captured for litigations. 744 million naira for litigations, which is even more than the money he spent in campaigns. That's to tell you that lawyers are waiting in the wings to feed on any situation. But as far as the internal democracy of the APC is concerned, the relevant organ is there. The national chairman has congratulated the winner of the election. There are no dissensions. All of these other ones you are seeing are just a storm in a teapot. At the appropriate time, they will sit back on the round table and they will resolve all of this and move forward. If they see that they want to go to court, they are free to go and waste more money because ab initio they were told to apply caution in the way manner they spent money because at the end of the day, only one person will emerge. And that person that has emerged is Right Honourable Dennis Idahosa, 43-year-old member of the House of Rep, who is from the federal constituency. There's a lot of agitation for youth empowerment, youth representation, and it falls into that categorization as we speak. And so go to Benin now, you see that the youth have even occupied the state secretariat of the party because they felt that the executives of the party in the state who have no role to play in the primary process, trying to bungle the entire process and cause us this whole lot of embarrassment. So that's to tell you that youths are ready for the leadership of the state, and then so the Idahosa represents their aspiration as it were.
Well, it does seem like the APC, is having some issues regarding protecting and preserving its internal democracy. In the first place, the efforts were made to whittle down the number of aspirants who contested at the primary. Then, of course, there's the report of or should I say the rumor of the alleged undertaking they were meant to sign that they're not going to go to court if any one of them eventually loses out. And there are also reports, that Idahosa's victory was as a result of the presidency arm twisting the leadership of the APC in Edo State. Of course, I know you are going to deny this, but we all know that usually they say there is no smoke without fire. So can you talk to us about the internal democracy within the APC? How well would you say the APC is performing in upholding its internal democracy?
You see, politics, first and foremost, is a game of influence. Anybody who tells you otherwise is either not in politics or is joking. Because you can't be looking for a governor of a state without you reaching out to persons. And amongst all the persons you reached out to, some of them will want to pull their support for you, others will not. I remember that I was on your program sometime, and I said I was looking for a godfather who would make me governor. And if the person so desires to appoint all my commissioners, that I will tell him person to go ahead, because the overriding interest is for me to deliver on my promise to the people of Edo State. I didn't get one godfather. So if Dennis gets a godfather in the process and is able to utilize the influence of the godfather to get elected as the flag bearer of the party, that means the lot has fallen on him. So why will anybody complain? In any political undertaking, you need to reach out to people. Somebody said, oh, the leader of the party is trying to breathe himself down the throat of the party. Why not? Do you know what is important? As an individual who is qualified to vote and be voted for, you have a right that cannot be taken away by anybody. It's called inalienable right for you to have an opinion on an issue. I'm talking about governance in the state, or trying to talk about governor of a state like Edo. The leaders of the party must have a say in who becomes the candidate, because they may have carried out a lot of research, they may have carried out a lot of fact-finding mission, and such that will help them to know or to narrow down an individual who they think can rally around the voters in the state. And in this case, Dennis Idahosa happens to be a young man, and this is the era of a youth o'clock, they call it. And it is a time for youth participation in governance and in elections. So they see him as a rallying point. So the leaders of the party felt that, yes, this one has a greater chance of this. But even at that, they had to call all of us to prune down the number from 29 to a manageable size, because in the final analysis, you are going to be buying the nomination for 50 million naira. If 29 persons bought, that is 1.450 billion naira. By the time they prune down the figure, it came to 6 persons. From 6 persons, it came to 4 persons. But some people who had earlier gone to the leader of the party, Senator Adams Oshoyi, to plead, oh, please support us. We are not going to behave like an Obaseki who disappointed you or who betrayed you. They are the same people who, when they told them to go and rest because of the demographics and all of that, they are the same people who took up umbrage. And so when people want conditional loyalty, they want to, okay, we are loyal, because it is not their turn or the odds do not favor them, they now want to pull down the roof of the house. That is not how to play politics. You have to own up to your word. If you say you are going to play along in this way, you are going to be loyal, you are going to be this, fine. It is because you know that Adams Oshoyi has some level of influence in the politics of Edo State. That's why people were going to him. I personally went to him, tried to convince him that he should support me. And by the time he explained to me the vagaries of the political equation across the state and, looking at the demographics, I understood perfectly. I don't have to take up arms against him because I want to be governor of the state. At any rate, there is no governorship candidate of that state that would not require the popularity and the support of Adams Oshoyi, whether they like it or not. The man still has a lot of following in the state. So if you want to play the game rightly, you must cultivate his support and influence. That's why I said politics is a game of influence.
Well,
because he didn't favor certain persons,
Mr.
they now want to
Afegbua,
take up.
Allow me to interrupt you
Sorry?
for the sake of time.
Yes?
For the sake of time, I'm interrupting you. And let's hope that this godfatherism politics won't be the end or what finishes off our democracy completely. But I'm in respects to the violence that took place in the polling units and in some of the journalist areas, which my colleague earlier referred to, have you heard of any investigations or any arrests being made, any names being pointed out in terms of the individuals or groups who caused the violence? And if so, do you have any more information? I know that you're not currently the Commissioner for Information,
I wouldn't want to preempt investigation that is ongoing by the security apparatus in the state. Don't forget that even a lot of persons came to witness that primary process who are actually intelligence officers drawn from different offices in Abuja, and they have their reports. But what I'm telling you that those guys who were adopted from there and taken to the home of one of the chieftains of the party, and thereafter declaring somebody a winner. That kind of experience will have to be looked into, and appropriate action and sanctions must be applied on the persons. And I want to also make the point that no man is God. If you think that you are bigger than the system, then but the system will be allowed to take its rightful course. Because in all of this, I think APC as a family must come together to ensure that we're able to confront the behemoth of the PDP in the states, the ruling party. And the reasons for actually tilting support towards the Edo South Senatorial District was because of the demographics. And now some persons who felt that, they should go central and all of that, are not looking at those other issues. But essentially, September 21st will be here to contend with, and I know that Dennis Idahosa will emerge as the governor of Edo State because he's got a lot of youth following. He's a rallying point. He can rally around the votes, and he has the capacity to stand his own. We went around the state. I went with him. I saw the kind of endorsement that he was getting and all of that. But those who want to spoil alter the apple cart can do that because they know they don't have anything at stake. But APC as a party has something at stake. And since the national chairman has congratulated Dennis Idahosa, it goes to suggest that he has been recognized as the candidate of the party without any blemish. Whatever anybody is trying to do now will just be a matter of trying to remain relevant. But talking about the issue of whether they should go to court or not, that is their own business. But the party did actually, appeal to us, ab initio, when they had a meeting, a stakeholders meeting with us, that we should try as much as possible to minimize issues that will lead to litigations and all that. Because as a family, we need to be together to be able to pursue the common goal of uprooting PDP from the state. But if they think otherwise, that their own interest is larger than the party, I think the party will win the big stick.
Well, maybe it would have been nice if there had been a level playing field. There would have been less aggrieved politicians within the APC. But I'd like to take you up on something that you said earlier, about politics being a game of influence. If you're saying godfather politics, is the norm, how then do we balance governance and meeting the expectations of the people with meeting the demands of the godfather? Isn't that the reason why it seems Nigeria is not working at the moment? Because a few elites are holding the country to ransom. They have forced their candidates on the nation against the will of the people.
No, I think you need to separate the character of an individual from the expectations or the promptings of godfathers. You see, in any politics, godfatherism is not a Nigerian word. And if you are familiar with the 48 laws of power, in the power acquisition process and power distribution process, so there are certain givens that you cannot run away from. You see, a godfather in politics is a man of influence who has opportunity to assist you in climbing the ladder of leadership. You can have brilliant ideas like I have now. I have brilliant ideas of how to run the state and how to move the state forward. But the circumstances prevailing in the state, they do not favor my own aspiration, as it were. I wouldn't, because of that, want to breathe down the truth of the power process in the state. But again, if I was opportune to be a governor using godfathers to assist me, I have my mandate. I have blueprints that I have to implement. The godfather does not stop you from implementing blueprints. All they want is just for you to mentor them, and for them to mentor you, so that in taking decisions, you take decisions that will be overwhelming and overriding for the interests of the state. Don't forget that even in Christendom, it's a biblical norm that when you want to get married, particularly in the Catholic tradition, a godfather will have to sponsor your marriage. And you know why? Because they want you to learn from somebody who has had a successful marriage, so that you can also take a cue from him or her. But in politics, it's the same, except that people are now reading ulterior motives to it. Some people who have bad character, some ingrates, people who do not mean well for those who assisted them, they will always want to read another meaning altogether. And whether you like it or not, gratitude is a word that has no preface and suffix. It's a word that is so heavy, because when you are grateful to somebody who has assisted you in time past and present, chances are that God will also be happy with you. But to think that godfathers are the ones stopping you from performing is just a very lazy man attitude or lazy man definition of what a godfather is. Godfatherism is about mentoring the younger ones in a conscious evolutionary process of leadership acquisition. And once you are able to get that right, you find, because even when you are sitting on the throne, you are likely going to be confused by a litany of issues and challenges and problems. And if you are not careful, you will take the wrong decisions. I have been a commissioner before in Edo State. I have had opportunity to take on my boss, Adam Soshomole, to tell him, no, this decision you are trying to take, don't take it. I've had others who will say, take it, nothing will happen. Afegbua is just mean this, Afegbua is just mean that. At the end of the day, situations and circumstances prove me right. So a man who is sitting on the throne needs people who can tell him, look him in the face and tell him pointedly that decision you're about to take is not the right decision. The state needs this, the state needs that. Go and do this, go and do this. This is how for you how to appropriate the resources coming to the state so that people, it can touch the lives of the people across the 18 local governments. That for me is a more rewarding, reality in terms of governance delivery than just sitting back and try to blackmail a godfather, say it's all about money, trying to acquire money and all that. It is all lies. We have seen it in Edo State. Governor Basaki told us in APC that the godfather didn't allow him to rest. He moved to PDP. When he got there, he continued his, who was the godfather in PDP? He became the godfather. And at the end of the day, he couldn't deliver on promise. And he started quarreling with the party apparatus in Edo State. Till today, as we speak, they have 3 factions in PDP. So that is just it. If your character, your attitude is not right, you can't get it right.
All right, then. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. Kassim Afegbua, the former Edo State Commissioner for Information. Thanks for joining us.